Karen,
Yes.
do you know how an evidential medium differs from a regular medium?
Nope.
Well, I'd be lying if I said I knew what the difference was too. So that's why in this week's episode, we brought in the expert on evidential mediumship. She says that connection to the spirit world is an ability that lies within all of us, not just the chosen few. And she's putting her money where her mouth is by teaching people literally from around the world how to uncover their own gifts and access the support and unconditional love of the universe.
That's perfect for you.
Sounds like a good episode, right?
It does.
Well, it does to me too, because Karen, when it comes down to it, mediumship matters. I wish I had a winky emoji in audio form right now.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
So we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something.
Anything.
That will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hi, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And this week we have with us the international phenom, Hannah McIntyre. Hannah is an evidential medium, spiritual teacher, and host of the Mediumship Matters podcast. Her down-to-earth, no-nonsense approach to mediumship appeals to people around the world who are looking for easy-to-understand teachings delivered with lots and lots of humor. She sounds like she's right up our alley. She works with live audiences in the UK and internationally online to demonstrate mediumship and to prove the continued existence of the spirit world. We are excited to learn where this conversation is going to take us. So welcome to the show, Hannah McIntyre. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
Oh, I'm so glad you heard it. I wasn't sure. We're on a different platform, so we're hoping that things go well. So bear with us if we have some technical challenges. But anyway, we had the pleasure of being on your show a little while ago and had such an amazing conversation that we could not wait to get you on ours. Let's answer that first question right off the bat that we touched on earlier in the show. For those that may not know the difference, what exactly is an evidential medium?
Well, I think lots of mediums work evidentially, but for me, an evidential medium is somebody that works with proof, undeniable, indisputable proof of the continued existence of the spirit world. So the way I liken it, and I know this might be a trigger for some people for my first answer, but here we go, is that when you're working with spirit guides and the way that some mediums work and the way that sometimes I work, when we are giving messages or readings, there is that kind of grey area where you could talk about things that do apply to your sitter and are true and are correct, but could also apply to lots of people. For example, you've had a bumpy journey with twists and turns in the road, but I can see you've been working on your healing and your energy, and now you're moving into a new phase, which could very much be true and evidential to that sitter, but is also probably true to most sitters. When you work with evidential mediumship, you are bringing in indisputable proof of the person you are communicating with in the spirit world. So if you've got a grandmother that rides a motorbike and smokes a pipe, that is a yes or a no. There is no, well, I can kind of understand what you mean by that. She either rode a motorbike or she didn't. So that's where I think evidential mediumship differs from other kinds.
Will, that is right up your alley. He is always wanting the proof. Even when it kicks him right in the face, he still doesn't see it. So this is perfect.
Exactly. I was just going to say, this is going to be a fun conversation because, we've had mediumship readings before and things like that. And it's like someone in the room has someone with the name of starts with the letter M. M, it could be Mark, Mike, Mother, Mustafa. It could be anybody, right? Mm-hmm. So it's exciting that you deal with evidence. Why would someone who's a medium not then be evidential? Like, why wouldn't every medium do that? Does it call into question some folks? I know this is kind of controversial.
Wow, what a gentle start we're having with this podcast of my own creation. You're getting me back for coming on mine now, aren't you? The questions I asked you. I see how this goes. Indeed, but the journey for evidential mediumship is hard, and it's brutal, for want of a better expression, because you have to be in such a vulnerable space to commit wholeheartedly to the exact specific thing that you are getting, that it is a vulnerability, and it brings up a lot of your human. There's a lot of that voice going on in your head all the time going, what if you're wrong? You're going to look like an idiot. You're stood in front of 100 people right now. You're making this up, you absolute twazzock. And so it's trying to find the strength to follow that path. So I worked with spirit guides and stuff like that for spirit guides. I worked with spirit guides for 7 years before I moved into evidential mediumship, and it was still such a trigger for me, being in that vulnerability of offering something to somebody that ultimately was a yes or a no. The very black or white nature of it does make it difficult. The other thing that I just want to say about evidential mediumship, which is what makes it hard, is if mediumship worked the way that we all imagine mediumship working, from watching it on the TV, from watching Ghost Whisperer, from watching Medium, where somebody in human form is speaking to a spirit who is speaking back like I speak to you, then there is no excuse for anything to be wrong. It should all be 100% right. But of course, that isn't how it works. People in spirit do not have voice boxes. They are not speaking to us. They are sending an energy to us, which we are interpreting, which is where it becomes difficult. Because when you say to people, I'm an evidential medium, they say, great, tell me my nan's name and her date of birth. Which would be fine if they could speak, because if they could speak to me and I hear them like I hear you, then that would be expected. But it's more like playing energetic charades. I'm sure guests on your podcast have mentioned that before. They're sending information, sometimes pictorially, sometimes in feelings, sometimes in words, sometimes in knowing, and you're doing your best to interpret that. So it is evidential, but it's not like reciting somebody's CV and then you just know what they did and how they did it. It's not quite the same. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It does. And that is such a great explanation, because I ask all the time, how do you know that that's not you? So finally, I really like the way you explained it, because I'm like, I'm just not getting it. Could any medium become gosh, now I can't think of the word.
Evidential?
Thank you. I'm like, experiential? No. Could any medium become an evidential medium? It's like, do they kind of stop themselves because it's too hard? Or is it really only just certain people that are able to tap into that deeper place?
I believe it's anybody. It's bloody hard work, though, so I understand if you don't want to. If I knew what I know now when I started, I can't say in wholeheartedness that I would have followed the path, because it is such a lot of pressure and it is so difficult and it is so all-consuming, and it is constant evolution and analysis and looking at what you've done. Was it good enough? And why didn't I take that further? Why didn't I trust into this bit? Why didn't I do that bit? So it is a pressure. But yeah, I believe that anybody can do it. And it is about being willing to put yourself in that vulnerability. And you're right with what you said, Karen. It does feel like it's you. It does feel like you could be making it up. It does feel fluid, flimsy, ethereal. It doesn't feel like it is anything other than just you coming up with something that might be absolute pile of hooey. And so you have to learn to trust into that, unfortunately. And it's tough.
That's got to be hard.
Yeah.
So have you ever had an experience where you're trying to do these spiritual charades, as you call them? Sounds like, and
nicer.
And I almost said charade, but I didn't want to insult her by like maybe I'm trying to no. Anyway, in the States we say charades, but so have you ever had a point where you're trying to decipher what's coming through, and the sitter, and by the way, we should clarify that for the audience that may not know, a sitter is someone who you're reading for, right? Who is asking the questions, that the sitter says, oh, this is a bunch of crap, right? Like what is your success rate on something like this?
It's really interesting because it is a three-way. And I always have to make this guy talk about.
This is a family show. Family show, Hannah.
But it is a collaboration. So because it is an energetic experiment, there is the spirit who is always in alignment, and then there is you as the medium, and there is the sitter, the person who's receiving the message, and the energy is a collaboration. And what so many people expect is for you to instantly get into that deep blend, instantly be able to pull the most specific, amazing piece of evidence out of the hat instantly. And it is actually a process. So what can happen is at the beginning, when you're saying, I've got a grandmother here and I know she liked baking, everyone in the audience goes, because,
Everybody's grandmother likes baking.
Yeah,
right?
oh, show me an Anne that didn't like baking, Hannah.
No offense to the grandmas out there who don't like baking, right? It takes all kinds, but there are lots of grandmas who enjoy baking.
But you would rather have the one that didn't as an evidential than you would have the one that did. And I say that with two grandmothers in spirit who are both bakers. So it's that thing where people have to allow you as the medium to get into a deeper blend. It's not instantaneous, and it does have an ebb and flow to it. And that ebb and flow is the result of the energy that is created in that space. So it's partly how the medium feels and partly how the sitter is responding. So it's a great irony if you come to a reading closed off with your arms folded and that go and then prove it kind of energy, it actually makes it harder for the medium to be able to do it because you're not bringing your energy into the mix. Right. So I do believe you should be skeptic. I do believe that you should be questioning, but you have to also be open and willing to go on a journey with the medium. Right. And that can be the hard bit. And yes, sometimes in readings, because it's normal, we get no's. I get no's all the time. And when I first started working with spirit, I was like, right, I'll know I'm with you when I get nothing but yeses. And this is glorious and magnificent. And it looks like what I see on the TV, which of course is highly edited. And when I was going out there, I know, who'd have guessed? When you go out there and people say no, it used to feel like someone had stabbed me in the heart and I'd be like crushed. Whereas now I say, okay, because sometimes it can be how I'm describing it, the language that I'm using, the words that I'm using, people are not quite understanding the same meaning behind a word that I understand. And that can be a no. Sometimes they've forgotten. The number of times people have said no to me in the moment and then messaged me afterwards and gone, oh my God, I've just realized. May I share a story about that?
Of course. Yeah. We love stories.
Okay, so I had a sitter that I was working with one-on-one, and I was talking to her about her mum's ashes. I knew her mother had been cremated, and I kept saying, there's a rose with her ashes. And she was saying, absolutely not, no, no, no. And at the end of the reading, she said, the ashes were completely wrong, Hannah, because we haven't spread them yet. We've only just got them. So there's no rose connected with her ashes. And I said, I don't know what I was seeing. I really felt like there was something to do with a rose. The following day, she sent me a photo. The container the ashes had come in from the crematorium had a rose up the front of them.
Oh my gosh.
That's so awesome.
So, I know. But in the moment, she was absolute, hard, complete no. Don't know what you're talking about. Absolutely not. So as an evidential medium, sometimes you can get it wrong, but also sometimes you have to allow your sitters to go through a process to understand it. So it's tough.
Right.
Wow. Talking about really kind of taking some time to get into that state so you can do these readings. Now, what is your take on those mediums that you hear about that are in the grocery store and they see some guy buying some potatoes and they're like, your mother has a message for you, you're allergic to potatoes or whatever. Is that real?
For those who are only listening to the show, you did not see Hannah's reaction just now. It spoke volumes. So
there's different frequencies that you can work in as a medium. And this is one of the things that Spirit taught me that nobody was talking about. And when I was on my journey, I didn't understand. So not all mediums work in the same frequency. And if you are working psychically, which to me is energy to energy in this physical space. So it's not communication with spirit in the spirit world. It's working here. It's reading energy here. If you've got somebody that you go up to and psychically read their energy, you can do a passable spirit link because you can feel who they are expecting to hear from in their energy, but it doesn't mean it's a spirit communication. It's a different thing. And so I think for a lot of those, and I'm not saying all of them because I haven't done enough study to be able to say anything conclusively, but a lot of the time I think those people, they're working psychically. And because we know that a lot of them are set up, they are stooges in the grocery store. They're not, so they know they're going to get something. And of course, if you're going to see a medium, or you know you're going to get a reading, you start thinking about who you might hear from and what they're going to bring through as evidence. So in your energy field, because you've been thinking about it, is a lot of information about that spirit. So you can pick that up as a psychic and bring that through, but it is not the same as the altered state that you need for evidential mediumship.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does, yes.
Completely, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to take a break. So give us just a few minutes. When we come back, we are going to talk to Hannah about how someone could maybe tune in or tap into their own gifts. And we'll talk a little bit more about her podcast, Mediumship Matters, as well. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. We are talking to Hannah McIntyre, who is an evidential medium all the way from the UK. She has joined us today to talk to us about how we all can tap into our own spiritual guidance. We've had an amazing conversation so far, Hannah, and I know that we got you on a little bit of a hot seat right off the bat. So we're going to now kind of give you some softballs, right? Because this is what you do, right? You help people to tap into their own spiritual guidance, and then you believe that everyone can do this. So walk us through it. How can Karen and I start to listen in and hear messages from the beyond?
Okay, so first of all, for me, it's the understanding of where you want to work, what energy you are working in, the frequencies, like I was talking about earlier. So many people think that we just sort of open up and spirit control what we get. But I believe that we are like radios. We tune into a particular station. So it's our job to know which station we're tuning into and where we want to work. So if you want to get a message from spirit guides, you would set that intention. I want to be working with spirit guides, and naturally your energy will move into the space that it needs to work with spirit guides. I want to provide proof of evidence of loved ones in the spirit world. Your energy will naturally move into the evidential frequency. So it's about knowing the difference, knowing when you're in psychic, knowing when you're with spirit guides, knowing when you are working evidentially. And then it is a case of trusting that whatever you get, no matter how random, how weird, how out of context, you go with it. And one of the things that I'm really passionate about is momentum, because that is what creates the great blend. So when we first start working with spirit, we say, oh, I've got a dad here. And then you go, is it a dad? I feel like it's a dad. What if I'm wrong? What if it's not their dad? I better not say dad. I'm not sure if it's dad. By which time we've stopped the blending process. It's not happening because we've just held that first piece of evidence and we're second guessing it. So I always say you have to imagine yourself as a bit of an infection. And the longer that you hold on to stuff, the more you infect it with you. So if you want to work in evidential mediumship, and it works in spirit guide frequency too, the best thing that you can do is say what you are getting as quickly as you possibly can, often without even really understanding it yourself. And as you do that, you will build a deeper blend with that spirit. So my view is at the beginning, you should be bullet pointing evidence very, very quickly, not getting hypnotized with what you're seeing, not trying to find a story in it, but very much so, I've got a grandmother here and I know she's a big personality, she's very loud presence, and I need to talk about her here having real pain in her hips, and I know she passes of a heart condition. I do feel that she's been in the spirit world for about a decade, if not longer, and she's joined in spirit by her husband. But you want to be quite quick with all of it, because that is how you start that blending process. And then you want to be moving into a space where you can allow things to slow down once you know that you're blended. Gotcha. And so it's always about being mindful of where you feel that tipping point in the blend is that's going to give you what you want. Gotcha.
So, Karen, I think we found our episode title, Humanity is an Infection.
You're welcome.
Oh, Lord, I've dated some bacteria, that's for sure.
I'm sure you meant to say before Will.
Well, dated, not married, dated.
Let's just clarify this thing. All right. So it's almost like free association, right? It's
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, like just letting things flow and not attaching yourself too much to it in order for the messages to come through. Now, do you have to put
Absolutely.
yourself in a certain mindset before something like this can happen, or does it happen to you all the time?
It happens instantly. I do not believe in preparatory work. Now, I do believe in a generalized preparation of your own energy. So lots of people meditate. If meditation works for you, fantastic. But the biggest and most important thing to me is that you spend a bit of time with yourself. Lots of people find spirit when they're wanting to escape themselves. But actually, if you can't sit and be with you, as soon as you get a space to open up to spirit, you're going to fill it with yourself. And that becomes the problem. So there's an inescapable self-awareness and self-love that has to be there to be able to move into that vulnerability of evidential mediumship. So often people say to me, what's the first step? And I say 10 minutes by yourself every day, not doing anything, not scrolling on the internet, not trying to meditate and escape the physical, just being present with you. And everyone goes, oh, that's really boring.
I don't
Nope.
think
I
you
want
can do it,
something
Will.
more
Nope.
exciting. Yeah.
I have been trying to get him to be bored every once in a while. It's okay.
Well, I mean, we live in an ADHD world, right? We're constantly bombarded by stuff all the time. It's like an addiction. So then when suddenly you have to force yourself to do that, it's almost impossible. It's really hard to just do nothing. At least when I have nothing to do, I'll try to meditate. But you're saying, don't even do that. Just sit there.
Yeah. Don't try and escape. So many people meditate to escape themselves. I'm going to go off now and I'm going to escape all of my problems and all the parts of myself I don't like. And I'm going to float around in the ether and it's going to be lovely, which it is. I'm not saying, I'm not saying don't meditate, but you also have to be in your human. Present with you. What is your body saying to you today? What is your mind saying to you today? What emotions are rising within you? What memories need you to sit with them and be with them so you can put them to rest? And that is the problem. Spirit always showed it to me like a giant chalkboard, and all of our stuff is written all over it. And when we want to communicate with spirit, they will always find a space to write on the chalkboard. But if you want to really hear them and really be aware of them, you have to have enough space on the chalkboard for them to be able to write bigger. So it's as if they're trying to be seen within all of the noise of everything that's going on with you. So if your chalkboard is rammed full of your to-do list, things to do, your worries, your concerns, this, that, and the other, they will write on it, but they might be writing in the space in a letter A, and it will feel really small and insignificant. The more space there is in your energy, the more you can receive from spirit.
That makes so much sense.
It really does.
The way you explain it is perfect.
And it also makes me think that it is that instant gratification of scrolling or whatever, but I think it might subconsciously be a culture of avoidance, avoiding those negative thoughts or those sad feelings. So maybe that's, if you look at it that way, Will, maybe it'll be easier.
I mean, for me, honestly, truth be told, it is just really boring. It's just, I can't just sit there for 10 minutes and do nothing. But Hannah, you're saying things that I've read, I've heard many times, right? Eckhart Tolle talks about it in depth, about just being in the moment and just doing nothing. Neil Donald Walsh, in conversations with God told him about the importance of doing that. I mean, there's all these different teachings that we get, but it's so much easier said than done. I guess it's just a matter of having the discipline of just doing it.
Start small, start with a couple minutes, and build your way up.
Absolutely, Karen. I mean, that's the same with meditation. I'm sure when you started your journey with meditation, if you'd said 40 minutes, come on, you'd have got fidgety. 6 minutes in, how long's it been? This is going to be So start with a minute. And I always have my list next to me. So, because my brain is an ADHD type brain, it's very active, which is actually good for mediumship as long as you have enough space. So I actually think part of my superpower is the fact that my brain works quickly, is the fact that it's busy. So I always have that. So when something comes up, like you didn't take the food out the freezer for dinner, or you forgot to pay that bill, or you forgot to send that birthday card, I've written it down. Whereas otherwise, I'll spend my whole 10 minutes going, don't forget the chicken, don't forget the chicken.
Oh my God. You are so speaking to me right now. That's exactly.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Even in meditation, sometimes it's like like I can't focus my mind because I can't. If I don't like force it into my head, I'm going to forget it when I get out of my meditation. I'm going to be like, what was I thinking about? What was so important I got to do? That's so smart. Yes, I'm going to start doing that now.
Yay.
Write down stuff as well, not just sit there. I might try, but we'll see. I know the importance of it. I do. Hannah, I would be remiss if we didn't take a few minutes to talk about your show, because I listen to it all the time, and your show is interesting because you do different episodes of different topics, right? So you share different mediumship readings on your show. You also do readings for the upcoming week. You do different things. Every episode is different, and I love that. And it's fascinating because it's not your typical metaphysical spiritual podcast. So how did you decide to launch this show, first and foremost?
Abject rage. I bet that wasn't an answer you were expecting.
No, but I love it.
I love her.
I do
Oh my
too.
gosh, that's awesome.
Yes.
So much fun.
In the UK, we have some very, very famous mediums with big followings. And I was watching one of them do a Facebook Live, and I thought, this is amazing. They've got 1 million followers. I cannot wait to watch this. And then with no shame, no bat of an eyelash, just absolute, they said, your loved ones in spirit are drawn to the energy of shares on social media. If you want your loved ones to come through, I need you to share this to build a bridge to the spirit world.
Oh,
Oh
good
my
Lord.
God.
Yeah. And
That's
I went,
shameful.
That's awful.
Excuse me? Yeah, it was just such manipulation. And I think spirit just, I know we like to talk about the light and love, but I also do feel that anger can be a fascinating motivator if we don't cut ourselves off from the emotion as judging it as bad. It's not great when you want to go key your neighbour's car because they keep parking in front of your house, but it is a useful motivator.
Unless you want to key your neighbor's car, then anger is really useful for that.
Yeah, namaste.
Oh my God.
But I just couldn't let it go. And I was going to bed and I was furious. And I was thinking, somebody needs to tell everybody, all these people, these vulnerable people. And I kept imagining, a mum whose son has committed suicide or something really horrendous, frantically sharing to try and get hold of their son when that isn't how it works at all. And she could actually learn to communicate with her son and feel the presence of her son for herself. And it was almost like spirit just laid this gauntlet down and they said, okay, if you're going to get this wound up about it, you do something. And I said, well, what can I do? And the podcast came to me. So I thought, oh, well, no one will listen. It'll just be me getting on my soapbox, ranting about stuff. And it just expanded. So it's cool.
I saw somewhere your top 10 show in spirituality.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow,
congratulations. Yeah, that's
Thank
huge.
you.
We're hoping that, by rubbing shoulders with you, we'll get a little of that magic on our show.
Good. Let's collaborate.
So share. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
Yeah.
I heard spirit loves shares, so
Bye.
So then, who would you say that your show really would appeal to? Who's your target audience?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think it's anybody that feels like there is more, but is not expecting me to have all the answers. Because one of the things that I feel is really important is the acknowledgement that we evolve. And as we evolve in consciousness, our understandings can change. So you can have something that is true at one level of consciousness. And then as you expand into another level of consciousness, it is a different, but also true. Both things can be true. And so for a lot of my podcast, it's exploration of things that I've experienced and seen and discussion. Why is that? What's going on with that? Because healthy discussion is a collaboration. It's two different energy points meeting where we can learn from each other. And I think that's something that's really missing in the mediumship teaching that I received when I was looking for teachers. It was very much, this is how it is. And when I would say, but why? They would say, we don't ask. This is how it is. This is how it's always been. And so I actually like the why. I like the mechanics. I like the unfoldment of understanding things like spirit not having a voice box. No one ever said that to me, but it's so obvious when you know it, why it works the way it does. And so things like that, that's what it's all about.
I've got to ask the question because I'm sure a lot of people out there are curious how you came to know all this information. How did your abilities, for lack of a better word, how did they come to you? How did you realize that you were an evidential medium?
Right. Well, it's just a journey. My friend, I was a PA at a music school, minding my own business. And one of my friends came in and just went, I've got your granddad here, and did a spirit link with my granddad. And I knew mediums existed. And even though I missed my grandfather desperately, it never occurred to me to go visit a medium. It was not something that was part of my experience, my understanding at all. And then she did the spirit link, blew my mind, and then said, oh, you should come to my group. So I went to her group thinking that I was going to watch other mediums work. I thought, oh, I cannot wait to see different people getting messages. This is going to be amazing. And when it went around the group and they went, your turn, I was a bit like, excuse me, what? No, I'm just here to be in the audience. This is not for me. And they said, oh, yes, it is. And that was it. It just started. And that was a spirit guide circle. So I developed my connection with spirit guides, did Reiki qualifications, things like that over a period of a few years. And then evidential mediumship. I just kept thinking, I wish, though, that I could communicate with people's loved ones in spirit. But that's not how my gifts work. That's not my journey. That's other people's journey. If I could do that, I would know that I could do that. And spirit kept going, give it a go. Do a course, try. And I kept going, no. If you wanted me to do it, I would know it by now. And I would be sent on that. And one day I just went, okay, blow it. Signed up for a course and started. But I have to say, most of my learning has come from spirit guides teaching me. And that is as simple as asking the question and allowing the answer to come. All of your listeners will be able to get information to help their expansion and spiritual growth if they ask the question and allow it to unfold. It might not come back instantly, it might not come in words, but it will rise in you as a knowing. There will be something that comes across you on social media or something you read that is a piece of the puzzle. And if you stick with it and you allow it to unfold and you don't expect it to be instantaneous, you can do all of your unfoldment yourself.
Well, you heard it here. If you want to be able to do this yourself, Hannah, I heard for the grapevine, can help you. So reach out to her. We'll add all of your links on our show notes. So just go to skepticmetaphysician.com and go to her episode page. You'll see her website link, her Instagram, her Facebook, her TikTok, every possible way you can reach out to Hannah we'll have on there. So it's easy for you to connect. No, of course. Hannah, I would be, again, one more time, remiss if I didn't at least say, do you feel anything coming through for us or for anyone in our audience? If you don't, no worries. We can always edit this out. But I'm just curious because, we do have the expert on hand with us.
Okay, right, let's give it a go. So straight away, I'm aware of a gentleman in spirit here, and he feels like Dad to me. So I know that Dad passes to the spirit world, and I want to talk about him passing very, very suddenly into spirit. I do feel this is respiratory. There is a pain in the chest. It's very fast breathing. I cannot catch my breath. I move into spirit, and I know that that is sudden and unexpected. And I know that it's unexpected because I know that people are unable to say goodbye to him. So I can feel him coming straight in with this acknowledgement that this was missed. And I do want to talk about the name Peter in connection with this gentleman. So I feel that I've got a Pete or Peter in spirit here. He would have passed in his early 60s, forgive me if it's late 50s, but it's around that kind of age. And he would be a father figure. So I feel like this is somebody's dad coming in here. And I know that he has 3 daughters that he wants to acknowledge, and they would have missed his passing. So if that resonates with anybody, that would be amazing. Let me just... I feel that he passes at home alone and is found unconscious.
Wow.
So that is,
Okay.
I'm
Well,
very aware of him.
if you are listening to this show right now and this resonates with you, we would love to hear from you. I know Hannah would love to hear from you. So
Yes.
let us know, because that to us is fascinating.
Mhm.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. And so it's would you like me to have a go for one of you two?
Sure.
Yeah, I think probably the person that you would probably connect with the most would be someone from Karen's side of the family, because I still have lots of
Okay.
mine. Oh.
Let me just have a look.
Yeah, you have lots of mine too.
I won't get anyone that hasn't gone. Karen.
Yeah, let's
It's
not do an
always-
early warning or anything like that.
No, never happens, just to be clear. Okay, let me have a look for you, Karen. Right, Karen, we're going. Have you got a grandma in spirit here, Karen, that I want to acknowledge with you? You would
Yes.
understand grandmother. Yeah, okay.
Mhm.
It's better when I get interaction. So I'm going to ask you loads
okay.
of questions now.
Okay.
So get ready. Hold on to your
All
hat.
right.
Okay. So I've got grandma stepping forward here. Now, I do feel that she's been in spirit for quite some time. I'm looking at somebody that would have passed over a decade ago. She's been gone. Would you
Okay.
understand that? Yeah. Okay. And she is obviously joined in spirit by her husband, who's with her too. So you've got grandma in spirit and her husband also there.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Let me just feel into this. Right. So these two would have been together for a really, really long time. I feel that they have been married for eons. We're looking at sort of 50 years plus here for these two together. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay, good. And she's also making me aware that she would have you've got a ring of hers.
Okay,
If
so
it's a no,
both.
say no.
Well, no, but I have
You're not
two
sure
different
which one it is
grandmothers
yet.
in the same situation.
Okay,
Well, no.
that's fine.
One of them has a longer marriage, and one of them gave me her ring.
Oh, bugger it. Let me just work
I know.
out. Not having this. Bear with me 2 secs. Okay. Right. One of them is married to a gentleman who wears a uniform, who would have worn a uniform. Do you understand this?
Yes.
Okay. Is that the one with the ring?
Both.
No. Right, bear with me, Karen. I've got some more for you.
I was very close with both of them, so maybe they're both here.
Yeah, sometimes I get battle of the nans. Nans are the worst. I'll be like this when I'm in spirit, though. It's just something that they do. Right. This couple come in. I feel that there's an acknowledgement here from them of they would have been around you. I know this might be both, but bear with me. We'll get more specific. This is how it builds. So I can see that they would have been around you a lot in your childhood. It feels like you would have lived near them. You would have been in and out of their house. It feels like there's a real closeness in your family with them. So regular contact. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
It's still showing me a ring. Okay, bear with me. I feel it going onto my finger. It feels like it's important. She's very stubborn in her when she knows something, she knows it, and she's immovable in it. And I have to say that with her too.
Okay.
Okay, bear with me 1 sec. Right.
Would it have been her ring or a ring that she gave me?
Ah, okay. I don't know. I can just feel a ring going onto my finger. So bear with me. As I blend with them, we'll be able to get it deeper and get a bit more information for you. Let me have a little look here where I want to go with her. Okay. Right. I feel that there is a photo in the family of these two together on their wedding day, which is still kept and is sacred, because I can see them both standing there in time, and he would have worn his uniform in the wedding photo. Do you understand this?
I don't.
No. Okay. Let me just get hold of them properly again then. Right. There is a photo of the two of them. They're stood side by side. I feel like I want to be in front of an archway. I can see them both. And I know it's important because I know that's how they stand in front of me right here. Let me just see what else she wants to show me, and I'll build some power with her. There is a... Right. She's showing me a real connection with family tree. Do you understand your grandmother really researching or looking into a family tree? Because this feels important to her. She's very, very proud of her family and her roots and knowing the information. And I feel that this is something that she would have spent time on. She would be sharing and talking about it. This feels important. And I do want to acknowledge here that she's one of 4, is it? Was she one of 4? Did she have 3 siblings?
I think she was one of 4. I
Yeah.
think it was 4. I'm not 100%
Yeah,
sure, but
okay, you'll have to look and have a look for me, because I feel that she's showing me this sort of plotting backwards, and alongside her I can see 4 like notches on a family tree. So I want to acknowledge that, because there is a feeling of family being important, following it back being important. And would you understand that she had a sibling that passed many years before her?
yes.
Like many years, because I feel that she's wanting to acknowledge that they're together in spirit, and this feels important to her too. Okay. And do you understand a connection with the name Mary, or something that would sound like Mary in the family?
I don't.
Okay. Let me just keep going with what she's showing me about the names.
Does the picture have to be a wedding picture? Because there was a picture that was very prominent of my grandparents in their living room above the fireplace.
Okay. Do you know if there was an archway behind them in the picture, or something that would be
maybe a fireplace below them?
Below them. Okay. I'm feeling like there's something up here behind them. It's really interesting how you receive it and you're trying to perceive it. But let me just keep going here.
No, I need to interject for just a quick second. The whole Mary thing in Spanish is Maria, right?
Yes.
I don't know any Marias. I thought that too.
Other than your cousins? Your myriad cousins who all have the name Maria?
Well, I was thinking of my grandmother's family, like her family.
Right. So what I was going to say to you, because I think we went off on a little deep here, is if you look back on the video, you will see me going, because I was trying to work out, she was taking me 2 generations below her.
Okay.
So that would be right for cousins, wasn't it?
I have
and I'm not just saying that to make it
named
fit.
Maria.
You can look back, because you'll have seen me doing it with my fingers, because I was going 1, her, below her, 1 more below her, her, below
I've got
her,
4
1 more below her.
Maria cousins, but they all go by their middle name, so that's why I didn't think about that either. They're all Maria something, and they all go by the something.
And that's why I interjected, because it connected with me right away, and I didn't want to let that go, because I know exactly. I know which grandmother you're talking about. Like I knew almost right away.
And you know the picture.
I do know the picture, and I do know the family, and everything you're saying to me, and it's not even my family. Well, it is now.
I have a ring that she gave me when I was 7.
Yeah.
And it's
okay. So I could just feel the ring being put on my finger, and I knew that was important. Okay. Let me just work with her. Okay.
And
now she's got a lot of love to give. Huh?
She made a family tree thing that she sent out to all the family.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. Good. So I'm glad that she's able to share that. Now, she is a lovely lady. She is very loving families. I mean, I know she's made a family tree, but she's also fiercely protective of her family. But she can be very straight talking as well. Would you understand this with her? So if you ask her for something, she will tell you it, how she feels, her opinion, no holds barred. Does that make sense?
Yep. Very hard-headed also.
Yeah, and I feel like she's very much in charge. She's got that matriarchal.
Oh my God, yes.
She is the pinnacle. She is the one that everyone turns to. Her opinion counts and matters, and she likes that. She's very, very proud of that energy within her. And I do feel with her husband, he is accommodating of that. He knows his place in the pecking order, and he loves her. There's absolute love there. I can see it, but she's definitely the one in charge. Would you understand that?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Because I feel that they're acknowledging that. Now, am I right in saying that he passes to spirit before her?
No.
Other way, bugger.
Yeah.
Okay. So would you understand there being about 7 years difference?
No, it was within a year.
Both in a year. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it 7 months then? I'm seeing 7, the number 7. Do you understand why?
They had 7 kids.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I was seeing it written. I thought it was 7 years. Let me just.
I think our dog has something to say.
I was wondering what that was. I thought someone was doing breathing on there. I was like,
wow. That's spirit saying, "Hey."
I was like, "Wow, we're getting some phenomena." Finally. Okay.
So you have been incredibly gracious in giving us all this information. We don't want to keep you on the spot. If you feel like there's still other messages you want to bring forth, then of course. But you have been unbelievably.
Obviously, I know your timings, so I'm half aware of your timings because I'm trying to build that energy with her. Can I just give you her message? Because I feel like
Yes.
I always like to do that for the spirits that bother to try and come in, because this feels really important. You would also, Karen, have something with her handwriting on. If you got a card she wrote you or a letter she wrote you with her handwriting on, this feels important.
I have a cookbook that she signed for me.
A
Or she wrote a little
cookbook.
message in the cookbook.
Okay, good. I just felt like she was acknowledging that you've still kept that, because there is a real sense of pride here and love here. And I want to talk about her determination, because I feel that she was determined right up till the end of her life. And she feels like the kind of person, she was very strong-willed. Yeah, everyone thought she was going to move into spirit. Then she got better as she recovered. Then she went back into it. And there feels like this sort of stalwart strength with her that I just want to acknowledge for you here. And bless her. She wants you to know that she's okay. I feel that this is important with her. She wants you to know that she's okay, that she's around, that they have found each other, that she has gone to all of her family. So there must be family. Do you understand her having family overseas, or family she was separated from?
She's from Ecuador.
Okay, excellent. Because I feel that there's this feeling of we're all together. Here we are. It feels like a big family party of everyone reuniting in the spirit world, which is really rather lovely to watch happen. And I have to acknowledge that with her. And you communicate with her quite often, actually, don't you? You speak to her. She's around you. She lets you know she's talking to you.
Every once in a while.
Yeah, I just feel like she's there. She's part of your life. She's acknowledging to me that she is part of that. And she is so very, very proud. And she wants you to know that she is very, very proud. There's a real feeling of love and she was the kind of person that would tell everybody your news and look at what she's doing, and she's continuing to be that person in spirit. You're pulling in a cousin of hers and say, look at her, look at what she's doing. There's this real feeling of pride and strength. And I just want to add in here that if ever you're doubting yourself and worried about your abilities or needing a bit of a push, she is the perfect spirit to call on, because she's such a strong presence. She will just come in and push you forward. So if you need her energy, just ask, and she will get you where you need to be.
You make me cry. But that happens a lot.
So
thank you.
Yeah. Now let me step in for a quick second again, because I think you communicate with her a lot more than you think, just by the fact that you do your fingernails in an honor the way that she used to, that is a very particular style. So I think that you're a lot more connected than you think you are.
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. She's just there. She's with you. There's no separation. So.
Hannah, this has been fantastic. You have quickly climbed the ranks of some of our favorite guests, and we hope that you will deign to come back someday, because even if it's off the mic, just because we have so much fun talking to you. This has been wonderful.
It really has been.
I hope it was okay.
Oh,
no worries. I'm sorry if the mediumship was a bit clunky. I demonstrated to 120 people last night. So you two are tired. I'm exhausted too. So I wouldn't normally work for 3 days following that. So yeah.
Ooh, sorry. Sorry to put you on the spot like that. But
no, it's fine. I'll give it a go. It will work or it won't work. I am really passionate about people understanding it's an imperfect art, because I think in all the editing that we have out there, it's you have these expectations when you're learning that you're going to be able to achieve the impossible. And when you start doing it and you think, well, I'm not as good as that, and I got a no there, and they didn't really understand that, and that took a while to get going, you think you're not doing good mediumship, but that is actually how it works. So I've got a recording coming out on my podcast soon where I've got somebody and I've got a birthday cake, and I'm talking to them about a birthday cake, and I'm aware that there's a number 1 on the cake, but I never actually say it, because I'm just aware that and she said so-and-so's first birthday, and I'm like, because I could see the birthday cake and I could see the number 1 candle, but I just thought that was my brain adding the candle. I thought I was just seeing the birthday cake. Right. And that's important to talk about, because I think when we're developing, we hold ourselves back with these expectations that it's going to be boom, 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 because we see so much edited mediumship. Right. So that's what it's all about, because there's a part of me, if I was absolutely honest, that would like to not put that podcast out, or to edit that reading so it sounds sounds better than it does, but that wouldn't be true. And I
Mhm.
just feel it's so important that I leave the gaps, I leave the awkward pauses, I leave the bits where I lose my train of thought, I lose the bits, like I was talking to your nan and I was aware of the Mary name and I was aware of the ... but I never went back to the ... because we started talking about something else until Will interjected, which is great, because that's what it's really like. You'll be doing mediumship with somebody and your brain will bring up something, or this will happen, or somebody will move, the dog will bark, and you will think that you're doing something wrong and that there's this perfect state that you get to where it's so brilliant and you're so in alignment, but it's not true.
Well, it's a true testament to what you're doing out there for people. So thank you for what you're doing, everything that you're going to be doing, your show, how you help people to connect themselves. Everything that you do is just wonderful. So thank you for doing what you do.
No worries. Thank you so much for having me. I've loved chatting to you again.
It's been so much fun.
Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure. Once again, if you want to connect with Hannah, all you need to do is go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to her episode page, and you'll see all of the links laid in there directly for you. Website, social media, everything, all the ways to connect with her. Hannah, it's been fantastic. Really hope to see you again really soon, because this has been wonderful.
Thank you very much.
And a huge thank you to you. Yes, you, the person that hit play on this episode. We know that there are tons of options out there, and having you decide to come along on our journey of discovery with us is an absolute honor for us. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. If you did and you feel called to give back, we invite you to visit our website at skepticmetaphysician.com, where you can donate to the show or subscribe as a member through our Buy Me a Coffee campaign. Your support will go a long way towards allowing Karen and I to bring you these wonderful conversations and teachings in more and more robust ways. Of course, if contributing to the show content is what you're looking for instead, well, we'd love for you to contribute by sending us a voicemail or an email from our website, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or any other podcasting platform that supports them. Karen and I love hearing from those that are moved to message us. It truly does fuel our passion. You are the reason we do this show, and knowing what you like and don't like help us craft the very best show we can so that we can help raise the vibration of the planet together. Now, if you know someone who would benefit from hearing the message we're sharing on the show, do them and us a favor and share the show with them. It will help get the word out about us, and it might just change someone's life for the better. Well, that's all for now. We will see you on the next episode of The Skeptic Metaphysician. Until then, take care.